was the final presidential debate, and with only 11 days before the election, did it make a difference? Was there a winner? Before we get into some of the specifics, what were your initial thoughts, Gene?
It's over. And as soon as it was done, I zoomed back over to Thursday Night Football. It was 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the third quarter. It was over. I'm glad it's done. I don't think anybody's minds are changed. It went exactly how I thought it would go. And I just want to say that early on, whole mute button thing was working, and then somehow, some way towards the end of the night, the mute button went away, it faded, and it was not used anymore. However, the real winner was Miss Welker. She was amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to get into a little bit of that. But I thought they both had their strong moments. I do think it was notable that President Trump behaved, unlike the other debate where it was a complete debacle. In this case, there was actually a debate. But I agree with you that I don't think anyone's mind was changed after last night. But let's get into a couple of the specific moments. So President Trump started the debate by once again telling America that the coronavirus is just about to disappear.
We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem. But I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do. If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular ventilators, we're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and thousands a month, distributing them all over the world. It will go away, and as I say, we're rounding the turn, we're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Okay.
And the president also said that the vaccine was weeks away and promised that when it is available, it would be distributed very quickly. Then former Vice President Joe Biden opened with a simple message. He said the president's response to COVID-19 has been an utter failure.
220,000 Americans dead. To hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially. Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
And he also attacked the president's claim that Americans are learning to live with the coronavirus.
People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it.
So I think that was some of Biden's strongest stuff of the night.
You know, I was thinking about this Friday, and I was thinking, I noticed I said Good Morning Friday because I was so excited about this. And I was thinking, how do I really want to talk about this debate? Well, I'll just keep it simple. I don't think anybody's minds were changed, right? Like, yeah, I think people went into it. You have your side, other people have their side. There's over 200,000 Americans that are dead. Some people think that that's not a big deal. Some people do. And let's just call it what it is. And then the election is in 11 days. So there's that. That's my opinion on the debate. I don't think that there was really anything for me, Ursula, that really stood out other than how it was moderated. I thought it was moderated in a fantastic way. Further proof that women do stuff really well.
Okay. I want to give credit to President Trump where he was actually strong and where I think Joe Biden was weakest. And that was when the president brought up why Biden didn't get more things done in his 47 years of office. And then I thought that Joe Biden also stumbled on the topic of fracking.
Would he close down the oil industry? Would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's
transition. It is a big statement. Because I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal. But
that's
you
a big
can't do that.
statement.
Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. Over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. You won't give federal subsidies to the gas, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do give it to solar and wind. And that's maybe the biggest statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because basically what he's saying is he is going to destroy The oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond,
Ohio.
and I have to get to the final
So it'll
question.
be interesting to see if any movement happens in those states which are closer in terms of the race. But back to Kristen Welker. Up until yesterday, I really hadn't heard much about her. Did you? I mean, did you know much about her?
No, I mean, no, other than, she a White House correspondent?
Yes. So she is the White House correspondent for NBC and also the co-anchor of Weekend Today. So I looked up a little bit more background. She is African American and Native American. She is a Harvard graduate. And I am guessing, I thought she was able to keep control the whole time. She allowed for quick follow-ups, so she was by far the best moderator. I mean, and if I had to be a betting person, I would say she's going to move into more high-profile positions at the network. I think it's like, hello, her stock just went up.
Yesterday when I was watching, I said, "Oh, yep, she's a star."
Yeah,
like this
absolutely.
Is, like,
Hello, new
remember
generation.
when? Like, get ready, your paycheck's about to change. And I don't know if she's in a relationship or not in a relationship. She's married.
Yeah, she's
man. I know her husband is like, oh,
hello,
man, the bank account is getting ready. Yeah, that bank account getting ready to get fattened up right now.
Yeah, and
Good
she
for
made
her.
a lot of people very proud, and I'm just happy for her. A 19-year-old with connections to our state is now accused of plotting to assassinate Joe Biden. Alexander Treisman is originally from Seattle. Federal authorities say he started to map out his plot back in March and apparently bought an AR-15. He also searched online for Biden's home address and for night vision goggles. When he was arrested, police found 4 rifles, a handgun, explosive materials, books on bomb making, and more than $500,000 in cash. $500,000 in cash that's believed to be his inheritance.
Wow. Sounds entitled. That's a lot of money in that case. Yeah, this is disappointing, right? Because, no matter how you feel about some of these topics or where your politics lie, that doesn't give you the right to be threatening or trying to kill someone. It's unfortunate that violence comes to mind, but this is also further proof, Ursula, that words matter, right? These hateful things that are being said matter. I just, what shocks me is the amount of people in this world who don't understand how much words matter. They just allow these words to continue and continue and continue. And then when there's a big problem, they tend to say, oh my goodness, I had no idea. Okay, words matter.
Yes, we need to bring down the rhetoric. Absolutely. My other question is, where are his parents? I mean, he's only 19. Apparently, last year, agents say that he had created a note on his phone that outlined a plan to perform a mass shooting at a mall food court on Christmas or Black Friday. And then he was posting on Reddit under the name Alex the Bodacious, and he was talking about how much he hated a bunch of different people. He wanted to do a Columbine for a while. And then he acknowledged having an interest in terrorist incidents and mass shootings. He was consumed with YouTube videos and Wikipedia articles about those tragedies. And he would often make those kinds of jokes with friends and would lose friendships over that. There are signs, like, I don't understand how it got to this far where he was within miles of the former vice president's home in Delaware on May 3rd.
Well, most of the time, I remember there were threats like, remember during conventions, like people were telling the United States that MS-13 is the biggest threat to our nation?
Yes.
Yeah, or people were saying that the little drug dealers on the corner are the biggest threats to our nation. You know what I mean? Like, what we need to do is we start to realize and understand, like, there are some real threats in this country. These threats, and it doesn't like, oh, that's a shocker. Usually when you find out about these individuals, you come up with information like you have just talked about. Like, it's not normal for someone to write down something saying, hey, I would like to go do a shooting here at the mall, or hey, I'd like to do another Columbine. No, that's not normal, Ursula.
Yeah. And we need to, don't normalize it. And yes, please report it anytime you see it. So this is the latest mask fiasco video that has gone viral. A woman not wearing a mask is seen struggling with a Bothell police officer in a grocery store.
Nobody from the store approached her. The first person to make contact with her was the police officer you see in the tape.
That guy videotaping her tells Cairo 7 TV the woman claims to have a medical exemption to the statewide mask mandate. And she also happened to be part of a rally protesting lockdown restrictions outside that PCC store earlier in the day.
We live in a time where people are tossing tables and yelling slogans and stuff because they want to get their political points across, and they're not getting arrested, but a woman buying a bottle of water without a mask is.
Bothell police say that woman was arrested for criminal trespassing. They say they have not arrested any person at any time for not wearing a mask.
First of all, I'm grateful that the Bothell police officer didn't shoot her for resisting arrest. Further proof that you should not be shot for resisting arrest, number one. Number two, do I think the cop was overboard to arrest this woman for not wearing a mask? Absolutely. But my thing would be is this. Like I tell my children and I tell other people, do you want to be right or do you want to go home? In this case, go ahead, just get your arrest, get arrested, and then let the truth come out. Yes, I think the officer was overboard to do that, but I also think the officer showed restraint by continuing to go on with the arrest. I'm glad that it worked that way. I'm glad that no one was harmed in this whole case.
And I think that they were trying to make a scene. They were outside that store earlier in the day saying things like, honk if you question the mask mandate. The pandemic is a fraud. There were 60 to 70 people outside the front of that store holding those signs. And then employees called police when they said there were 10 people in the store who went in, obviously trying to make a scene, trying to go against the mandate, refusing to wear face coverings, putting the employees in the position of having, who wants a confrontation? They were even asked to put one on, being offered free masks. And, it's unfortunate. So the police are saying, we did not do this because of the mask. It now became criminal trespassing.
Yeah.
Can we just not? Why do people insist? It's a private store. So if you don't want to wear a mask, just don't go in there. If you have a health exemption, go to the manager and say, hey, just so you know, I do have a medical exemption. So if it's okay, I'm going to go buy a bottle of water.
Remember I was telling you, I think it was the post office that I was at. I think that was a while ago where somebody says, yeah, I'm not wearing a mask because of a medical issue. I got to tell you, though, I always like to really mention this because it's the truth. I think people are doing a really good job. Like, I've only seen one person so far in all of this just refuse to wear a mask because they said they had a medical issue. For the most part, where I'm at, especially down in Tacoma, all through Tacoma, man, people are in stores, they're wearing their masks. I was in Subway a couple days ago. Guy came in, he said, hey, sorry, I forgot my mask. Do you have one? And they said, sure.
Yes.
That was the exchange.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
that's why I think this Bothell thing was completely deliberately done to create a scene, to further divide, and because there are legitimate people, and I'm not one to question when someone comes in, but if you have one and you don't want to be confronted, just go to someone and say, hey, just so you know, I can't wear one for medical reasons, and I don't think they're going to have an issue with that, but they were trying to create a scene and make police look bad, in my opinion. So it's being called a distressing trend. COVID cases are now going up in nearly 3/4 of our country, and our state has now hit a sobering milestone. Cairo Radio's Hannah Scott says we've now passed 100,000 cases.
State health officials call the 100,000 mark sad and sobering. Say it's just too many people. Still, State Health Officer Dr. Kathy Lofi says we're in better shape now than when the pandemic first hit.
We have much, much better data now than we did, back in March when we started seeing a surge of patients.
656 new cases were reported yesterday, bringing the statewide total since the start of the pandemic to 100,525. 3 more deaths were also reported, bringing that total to 2,289.
Our only defense towards COVID right now is mask, social distancing, and working together as a community until we get a vaccine. There's nothing else we have. There's nothing that we as people can do to control this pandemic outside of those things right there. So I just hope that the good news is I think that most of us are doing our best to try to get this under order. I know that people with businesses and small businesses don't want to shut down their businesses. If you still do have them, people don't want to be employed. People want their kids to go back to school. We all are on common ground with the things that we want. Okay, we can agree with that. And we all can agree that we want this COVID thing to be done and go away. So the best thing that we can do is work together on it.
I agree. Work together. The other thing is that the health authorities are saying it's really a lot of these smaller, more intimate gatherings with family, friends, and neighbors that may be driving a lot of these infections. So much of the increase now is centered in the Midwest. States like Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, Wisconsin, they've all reported record increases in case numbers in just the past 2 weeks. So with the holidays coming, it's just something to think about. Okay, finally, this is number 5, but it's just that we want to emphasize again that coming up at 10:06, we're going to be opening up our phone lines again. We need more reasons to smile. We want to hear from you. Has anyone helped you or helped you out or made your life better during the pandemic? Is there someone in your life that you want to thank, and why? Remember, last Friday was awesome. I mean, and we just had people coming, wrapping their virtual hugs around Roger, who shared his struggles. And Roger, if you're listening, shout out to you, big hugs to you. But we want to hear from everybody again coming up at 10:06.
Ursula, have you ever had a gun pointed at you before?
Never.
It's something.
You've had that happen.
Oh, yes, I've had that happen. Well, coming up next, we have a guest. She's a woman who had a gun pointed at her in Renton while painting a community mural. She joins us next. You guys are listening to the Gene Ursula Show.